Okay, so this is logo, shapes, and composition, and letter composition. You are going to be looking at typefaces again. So with this template, you have two columns of type that you're going to convert to your initials. So as you can see here, these ABCs have become MGK, and you do that with your type tool. So you highlight them and you type in your initials, MGK. And you go down the line and you do the same thing. You can copy and paste, Command C, Command V, Command V, Command C, oops, Command V. And you might want to get some all cap ones. So Command C again, Command V, or you can manually type them in, MGK. Either way. So Command C is copy, Command V is paste. And what you're going to be doing is on each one of these, you're going to be selecting a different font. Okay. So you're going to go to your character panel, window, type in tables, character. And once again, you're going to look for the filter, which is right here. When you select a font, the filter is there, and we're on sans serif. So that's the correct classification. And then you just go down and select some fonts, and you can actually just sort of scroll through. I like Avenir a lot. And then you can change the case. You can make it all caps again if you want. I mean, it's just whatever you want to do. What you're looking at in this exercise is type relationships and how do these letters relate to one another. Okay, so you're going to pick another sans serif, and that's a condensed font. Now, to kern it out or to track it out, you do Option and the arrow. So that'll open up the space between the letters. So that's the right arrow. If you want to tighten it, you go Option left arrow, and that will tighten up your space. Okay, so basically what you do is you go down this whole list and you select different fonts for your letters. Okay, so this is the sans serif group and this is the serif group. So you do the same thing. First you take your selection tool, because as we know, our text boxes can get in the way of each other. So select that text and then highlight it now that you've got it converted to the MGK. And we're going to go to the serif filter, which is the second classification. And you're just going to select some fonts that are serif fonts. Okay, so you're going to do that with this row. Then on our next pages, we have the shapes that I told you about. So I'm going to look at my pages panel, which is already up, but I cannot see it for some reason. Sorry. Sorry, guys. There it is. So I'm going to double click on page 2. And I've already made these arrangements. So what you're going to do is look at the fonts from the ones that after you've completed. This one's not completed, but you complete both rows with different fonts in each one of these slots. Okay. So you want a different face here. This one is FLS. This one is Koshan. This one is Dido. So you want to go through and make sure all of these are different fonts. And you're going to look at which relationships do you like? Which type relationships do you like? Okay. And then you're going to go to this page and you're going to copy and paste, and you're going to put those letters in these shapes and create a pleasing composition. Okay. So to so what I've done is I've created an M and I'm using the white space. So I'm bleeding this letter off. You can do that. I bled it off here too. So to make your M or your first initial larger, you highlight it and then Command Shift greater than will make that letter larger. If you're on a PC, it's Control Shift greater than. Okay, now the bounding box has disappeared. So what do you have to do? Open it up to make that letter reappear again. Okay, so I'm going to bleed that off like that. And so I'm making a pleasing composition. Now, with this one, what I did is I rotated the K and I flipped it. Okay, so here it is. And it's rotated in back state. And to rotate a letter, you just take your selection tool right here, the first tool in the toolbox, and then hover around the handlebars and just rotate it like that. Okay. Now I also flip this letter. So you can go up here to flip it. Object after it's selected. So you select it, and object, transform, rotate. You can flip horizontal. Now that flipped right off the panel. So I'm going to undo that. And object, transform, rotate. So you can flip vertical, you can rotate 180 degrees. Where did that go? So that went right off the page. So, but you see it's flipped now. It's flipped. It's not what it looked like before. So I can show you Command Z. I made a couple moves there. But that's what it looked like before. Okay. So Command Z is undo, as it is in Photoshop. So Command Z and highlight your letter. Control or Command Shift greater than key to make it bigger. And then you have to click on the clipboard to see it. Okay. Click on the clipboard. And then to make it smaller, Command or Control Shift less than. So that's that. And so what you're doing is basically creating compositions within these shapes to create sort of a pseudo logo. I mean, we're making a beginning logo using typefaces. I want you to get familiar with typefaces and type pairs and basic shapes. So using our basic shapes and letter forms, you are creating an interesting composition. So that is basically it. Now, this is what I did. I used Arial rounded on this one. I rotated these two letters. I have a combination of lowercase and uppercase. And then for your final one, you're just going to set the type in a font that you think is pleasing. So here I chose Roboto, which I don't seem to have right now. So let's try it in Big Haslon. Got to open up my fonts. I open up my my window. So there we go. I switched from a sans serif to a serif. Now, when you look at it, it looks like there's too much white space here compared to that. So I'm going to stick my cursor between here and Option left arrow. So you can highlight the whole group if you want all of it to be kerned, or you can do it just between two characters. So there you have it. And then that's closer together and it looks good. Okay. So that is basically what I'm asking you to do for this composition. Let me know if you have any questions.